sometimes you have to step up despite the fact that there are weird things or bad things going on in your life or you're not in the mood for it. And that means you do the job despite the ups and downs of your mind.
Hi, Filip here. Welcome back to Careers 2.0. Today, I'm speaking with Adam. Adam, like many of us, did a lot of things before he settled on his current career. He even found his face on a Samsung ad one time, absolutely by accident. Well, now he's a successful yoga teacher. And we talked about building a business that brings financial stability and building a life that brings fulfillment. I hope you'll enjoy as much as I did. I was thinking that I want to start actually with something kind of obscure information that I found about you on your website, which is that you happen to be temporarily in face for Samsung in Portugal. So I think it's a great intro for you and for your background to tell us how one becomes a Samsung face in Portugal.
Well, this was kind of random actually. So I've had multiple careers, and on the side, when I was younger, I had a six-pack. I did some modeling. Like, it was never my career. You know, my career was going to be law, then it was a charity sector. But, you know, when you're in your 20s and someone says to you, do you want to come and model? I was like, yeah, why not? So I did some of that. And actually, weirdly, I didn't do a shoot for Samsung. I actually did a stock image shoot. It was me and this girl walking around London, you know, as a couple, a fake couple. And it was just stock images, and it was okay money, not a lot, but it was fine. You know, it's just a fun day out again for like a 23-year-old, you know, pretending to run around London with a beautiful girl and whatnot. So I did that, and actually, weirdly, I was holding an iPad, and we were lying on the floor next to Big Ben. I was holding an iPad, looking at it, and then I came to Lisbon Airport to do the marathon, and at Lisbon Airport, on the baggage carousel, was me holding a Samsung.
So they had no idea.
Images. Yeah, so I had no idea. And obviously they bought the images, which is actually me holding an iPad. And then, so I was doing the marathon, and like I kept seeing myself like on buses, on trams, all over the city. It was just my face everywhere, but only in Portugal, it seems.
Wow. Maybe you didn't travel far enough. Maybe you were hidden in Asia. You wouldn't know.
Who knows? But yeah,
right?
I guess I'm quite ambiguous in terms of where I look like I'm from. So I can maybe I could look Portuguese, I guess.
I guess. I wouldn't know. But yeah, you mentioned there that you had many careers. And that's actually, well, you've done everything from boxing to law, right? Like you clearly are a multi-passionate person, right? So I wonder if what you do right now, being a yoga teacher, is it like, do you feel like it's a culmination of who you are and it encapsulates you and your character and you want to do it for the rest of your life? Or you think that you're maybe giving up some things in order to focus on this business and grow it?
I think for you to be good at anything, so Oliver Berkman wrote a really good book about this. His most recent book, he's a productivity expert, but then his recent book wasn't about productivity at all. It was about the fact that you have this limited amount of time in your life. It's called however many weeks the average person has. And for us to go deep in anything, whether deep in a relationship or deep in a job, deep in hobbies, we need to drop other things. We can't do everything. If we want to go deep, if we want a true, meaningful, deep relationship with another individual, we can't just go from partner to partner to partner to partner. We have to put the work in. The same with careers. So yes, there are other things. I miss boxing. I miss, managing a site and having lots of money to spend on that site. Not my money, but other people's money. I miss some things like that. So certainly there were things I've dropped that I did enjoy and do enjoy. But equally, what's nice about not yoga teaching, but the career I have now, it's a mix of yoga teaching, influencing, content creating, podcast host. There's so many elements to it that it keeps me intrigued. And some of the stuff doesn't make money. Like the podcast doesn't massively make money. And I often take photos of yoga teachers, not because I get them to pay me. I just enjoy it. I really enjoy photography. So yes, I've dropped certain things, but equally, I have made this career diverse. It's not just me turning up and teaching yoga. there are many elements involved in it now.
Do you have some sort of internal rule that you look at whether when choosing things to focus on or to do, thinking like, I don't know, 80% has to be business oriented and focused, and 20 I can do things that even don't bring in money but joy. Do you look at it like this, or you just go with the flow?
No, it's not going with the flow necessarily. I've just got quite a hard work ethic and instilled in me from a young age. And I've always realized that if you want to make money out of a career, especially self-employed, some things won't make you money directly, but you need to do them anyway. So doing classes for free for a brand doesn't make you money, but gives you good exposure. Creating the podcast is a huge amount of work, but people get to know me, and then people are then more inclined to maybe get to a point where they're willing to buy something off me. So my view is you just need to put the work, especially that you're new in an industry. And if you haven't got any big reputation or family connections or like, you need to put a huge amount of work in. And some of that will be unpaid because you're self-employed, but you just have to push it as hard as you can. Anyway, in terms of work-life balance, I think the issue sometimes is when you enjoy what you do and you're self-employed, finding work-life balance is really hard. Like harder than if you just have a full-time job. I think it can be really to work out where the divide is. Now, this weekend we're at a festival teaching, and then we also decided to do some live podcast chats. But then it felt very much like a whole working weekend. It didn't really feel like we were relaxed at any point. We didn't get the divide right. We didn't say, okay, well, this is now fun time. It was all just kind of a bit of a mishmash. And this morning, I haven't done any formal work, I guess, until recording this podcast. But I've been going around the house. I've been doing a little post, adding some things, creating some reels, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard to find that divide. In a dream world, if I was a writer or I think you've got more control of it. You can say, I'm going to write from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock. That's writing time, and everything else is me time. When you have a job like mine that requires you to be physically somewhere, it's a bit harder. So although I'm self-employed, I still have to commit to maybe 8 yoga classes a week where I have to literally be in the studio or be traveling to the studio. Or I need to do reels each day, or I need to get podcasts out by a certain time. So it's everyone who is self-employed has a very different type of self-employment.
Do you use some sort of productivity system or, like calendar time blocking or anything like that?
Well, I've tried many, but again, due to the fact I'm committed, it's almost like I have a part-time job that in the sense that because I have to teach certain classes each week and I have to travel, in that limited amount of free time, I would, again, love to say this time is for this time is for that, but ultimately I need to respond to the week. So this weekend, I have a 4-hour training that I have to teach, plus lots of admin leading up to that. So although I would love to be creating content for a training the week afterwards, what I actually have to do is spend the time creating training. So it's very different. But in terms of what I do for time management, I do use a few things. In terms of apps that I use, I use one called Things, which is a great to-do list app that I use heavily. I've used Evernote for a while, but I'm trying to transition to Notion. But I need to just sit down with that for a while. Whenever you try and create any kind of new kind of second brain, it takes a long time. You need to almost have like a week to do that.
Well, some people, and I'm talking about myself, spend more time setting up productivity systems than actually being productive. So, you just don't have the time to do it.
And that's a danger, I think. It's a danger, following lots of productivity experts on Twitter.
Right.
You got all the knowledge in the world. We need to just do some stuff.
Exactly.
I think often people don't do the doing. They expect to read all the tweets and read all the articles and expect the magic to appear. And, you get sucked into different things. I think the key for most people who are self-employed is do more, even if it's at 70%. Do the thing. There are many excuses for not doing the thing, but you just need to do the thing.
Totally. But by the way, I'm speaking with you, but you are part of a powerful duo, basically, like me, actually. So you have your wife, Holly, and you are life partners, and you're, in a way, business partners as well, right? And I wonder, I'm in a similar situation, and I love it, but a lot of my friends, they don't understand it. They ask me, where's your space? Where's the divide? The boundaries. How do you set them? And now, especially for you, you have a young child. You have business, you have home together, and now you have a child. How do you collaborate? And was it like a natural thing for you, or you had to work on it to get there?
So we don't work together in the extent that like we run a business together per se. We have joint events, we have joint retreats, the podcast to some degree we do together. But really that's just Holly showing up and having the conversation. Yeah. But when we do work on a joint project, for instance, a retreat, we split the roles very clearly.
Yeah. And it brings you into this common understanding, I guess, of the world and what you want from your lives, right? So it's. But okay, let's talk business. So as you mentioned yourself, you started yoga classes, and it sort of maybe not snowballed, but it grew into a career and a business. I wonder how that translates into online business. So when did it become online lead generation or client generation became more important? And if you're trying to make it actually a bigger part, expand in the online world?
So the intention, was never to be an Instagram celeb, but more and more opportunities came up. Then over time, I ended up kind of teaching around the world, doing retreats, doing workshops, and social media was just there to bolster that. And actually, I didn't really make as much effort as I should in building a mailing list. My website always looked good, but things were just coming to me, and I was just accepting it, and it just kept snowballing. The way I went online for my own business, there'd been lots of online platforms, was literally when COVID started. I thought, within 2 days of lockdown, I had an online platform. I just before shops closed, I went to a camera shop and bought a Fuji X-T3 and a Ninja, and I didn't even know what a Ninja was, but I kind of knew I needed it. So it was a very quick learning curve in 2 days. Initially, the space we had wasn't appropriate because we were in a small flat, and to get the camera far enough away to fit a 6'1" person doing yoga in, was quite an effort. But we set up the online platform, and I'll be honest, I haven't always been the best at the sales side of things. So it's not particularly yogic, I guess. And I've always had enough opportunities come my way. But now I'm thinking about it more. I'm seeing that actually yoga workshops aren't as popular as they used to be. People doing a lot more online, people don't have the money, etc. Yoga classes are quieter than they used to be. And I don't live a life now where I want to be walking around a city all day, every day.
But when you say sales, what do you mean by that? You mean just creating content that promotes your products, or?
No, so not the content creation, it's more the sales language. There are a few elements. I'm working on at the moment. So number one is trying to find my voice in terms of being pushy with sales. That's really not natural. I'm the kind of person that hates asking people for favors, would rather do everything myself than ask anyone for anything. So to use sales tactics in that sense, like the language, it feels awkward to me. So it's finding my voice there. And, despite creating so much content, because again, I've never really needed to, I haven't been that good at lead generation. And again, I'm boosting that now. I'm, doing the free workshops online to pull people in, trying to create some free content. Part of that is because I've committed too much of my time to doing stuff in person. So before COVID, I was often teaching 20 plus classes a week, all around London, then almost every weekend teaching in a different country. That's not a lot of time to sit at a computer. And even now, I'm in London from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m, flat out, pretty much 2.5 to 3 days a week. Okay, and any gap I have is very inefficient. And then when I'm at home, I want to be with my child. So actually, dedicated computer time is really hard for me to find, but I know how important it is.
Where do you see yourself going? Is it more teaching yoga online or helping other teachers become yoga teachers? So
I do trainings, and I've done trainings all over, but the aim now is to convert more of those trainings to being online. And it's attracting people that are interested in me and resonate with me. And it could go multiple ways. It could, I could start working with more men. I could start going down kind of more motivational speaking style stuff. I'm not entirely sure. The world is changing a huge amount, and we have to try and diversify as best we can. Especially the dad now, and a dad that wants to provide for the child, but a dad that also wants to spend time with the child. That's really important, I think. It's more important than the money is actually being there around my son. That's all I'm desperate to do, is be with him. So the balance to be found.
But you're mentioning learning sales language and maybe transitioning into motivational speaking. But what do you do? I just really hope you will not lose what you're doing right now, because your humor and your personality that shines through your content is absolutely amazing.
And I thank you for saying that. And that is key for me. And I did an Instagram course. Although I'm competent in Instagram and I teach Instagram trainings myself, I saw someone else do a course. Let's do their course. They were doing well, like exponential growth. But what it seemed, it was very salesy. And what he was mainly doing is taking motivational quotes or ideas, repurposing them in a very Americanized way, although he's Australian. And it was almost like he was then training people to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It almost felt like a bit of a pyramid scheme in a weird way. Like then there's so much of it on Instagram at the moment. People saying, I'm going to tell you how to make six figures by delivering a course that tells you how to make six figures. So you can then teach courses that tell people how to make six figures. And no one's actually contributing to the world. Everyone's...
That's the thing. Yep.
And that's what I really struggle with a little bit. And, I did one video in that style, and it didn't do well, and it didn't feel like me. And maybe my wife said it doesn't even sound like you. So I think my view is that when you're in a public-facing role like this, you are your main USP. You are your main niche. Your personality is your niche. Some people won't like you, some people will, but you need to make the most of the people that do like you and do resonate with you.
I wonder whether the content that you are making right now, whether you're thinking that, let's say, the humor, you had a very recent viral video, 500,000 views, I think, that was phenomenal. And I wonder, when something like this happens, do you think, okay, I need to make more content like this? I need to be funny now. I need to make jokes, even if I don't feel like it?
Like for me, and I've talked about this quite a lot in my trainings, is that we are professionals. And when you're a professional in any kind of industry, whatever that is, whether that be creating content or teaching yoga or whatever, sometimes you have to step up despite the fact that there are weird things or bad things going on in your life or you're not in the mood for it. You just have to turn up and do your thing. So sometimes I don't really feel like I want to do a funny reel, but my job is to create content that entertains but also educates. And so I do that. And this whole idea is that you need to enjoy every element of your job, I think is ridiculous. Obviously, there's going to be parts of the job that you don't love. But once you decide to be professional in whatever domain you're in, act like a professional in it. And that means you do the job despite the ups and downs of your mind.
That's a harsh truth. A lot of people come into, let's say, content creation, audience building as a sort of answer for all their problems connected with work and think that this is not work. This is basically fun on wheels, which it's not necessarily is, right?
Yeah, it's hard. That's what I find brand partnerships hard sometimes. Just being able to think of something that is both works for them and equally resonates with my audience. It can be quite stressful, like thinking of what to create. And it's different for everyone. There's some people, I recently met a group of fashion influencers and their life seems so easy. I could be wrong, but it's just like they wear clothes and it's just, I don't get it. I'm geeky about cameras. So I follow camera geeks and lots of people won't get that. But when I see these fashion people, it's just like walking around London and taking 5 photos of different angles of them drinking some coffee. And it gets so much traction. That seems like an easier life because they don't have to, I guess they're not equally trying to provide a service. The issue comes when you're trying to influence or be an influencer, make money from that, but also you are another type of professional. You're a yoga teacher or you're, I don't know, whatever. You're a digital photographer, a wedding photographer, because you need to make sure you're still serving your main audience as well as doing the influencer stuff.
Absolutely. And you have to work on that. And I wonder, you mentioned repurposing content. And I think what the guy of the course that you have taken, it seems to have confused repurposing, which in my mind is taking your content and maybe changing a format to match different platform or long form, short form, rather than just stealing other people's ideas. Do you repurpose your own content? I've seen people do it successfully. Something worked for them and they even post the same thing.
There was a wonderful book called Steal Like an Artist, which is wonderful, and it talks about kind of that idea. So I don't think it's that you shouldn't, use other people's ideas and make them your own and see them through your own lens. It's probably been a long time since anyone had a truly original idea. It's more that don't share stuff. I never share stuff for the sake of sharing it. Like if I might see a nice quote, but if it doesn't resonate with me and my audience and isn't really something that would come out of my mouth, I'm not going to just use it for the sake of using it. Especially if it's not the kind of words I would normally say. But it might inspire me to do something else. In terms of repurposing my own content, so what I might do, let's say, is I might, like the other day, I did listed 5 points on social media of how a yoga teacher can thrive in an unexpected way. Then I will use that in a newsletter as well. Then at a later point, I might use that same content to create a video. And in the future, I might use that same content to create a longer form video. So that's how, and then in the year, I would just redo exactly the same post, probably, and just throw it out there again, providing it still resonates with me. And then I will use that same video or whatever it is on YouTube and then Twitter. And then, so that 5 points I did yesterday, I didn't put it as a whole thing on Twitter or Threads. I just took each one and just put it up there as like a quote. So I think you can be intelligent with how you use it in that sense.
Right now, you're selling high ticket offer, which is around $2,000 for your service and your online course. But then you have also the membership, which is $25 per month or something like that. And I wonder the logic behind it, if one of them is sort of like the first step that leads people to the other, or those are two separate things and that not how you look at them.
No, I think certainly one can lead to the other. I think often though, my main thing is for yoga teachers. My main kind of high ticket courses are for yoga teachers. So many yoga teachers might not want to be part of an online platform. They probably have access to enough yoga anyway. Some are. There are lots of yoga teachers on the online platform, but it at least means as well that people in other cities can get to know me a little bit more. They can just commit to it for 1 month and get to know a little bit more about my teaching. So it is useful to have the online platform. The online platform has existed for a few years, but I've really not promoted it. Or the podcast, actually. The reason being, I was never fully happy with how it looked. And I've never been fully happy with the fact that when I post about it on social media, it does worse. Even the podcast tends to do a little bit worse when I post about it on social media. That's why I have a different account. So so one thing leads to the other, but equally so do my classes and retreats. If people come to a class or a retreat or a workshop, the hope is that they're willing to then come to something high-ticketed.
Your link in bio. I always look at link in bio as a thing that's sort of a chart of what is most important to the creator. And now, the newsletter is number one for you. So why is that? Why do you think email marketing is something that you should be focusing on? Do you see the clients?
I want to rely less and less on social media. I want to have data that I can control, as it were. So social media is great, it's fine, but I'm subject to the algorithm. So what I want is to make sure that I have people that are genuinely interested in me. People can leave at any point they want. But I want to make sure I have something where people that are very interested in me can connect with me. And I've got about a 60% read rate.
Wow.
Which isn't bad.
Yeah, not at all. Do you see business already coming from there, or that's something that you're only building up?
I'm not tracking it at the moment, but I think certainly anyone who is interested in the things I do enough to spend money on it is going to be on my newsletter.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. All right, let's do
quick fire.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. Every podcaster's favorite part. Let's do a quick fire round. All right? Short questions, short answers. All right, are you a team player or lone wolf?
Lone wolf.
Take risks or carefully calculate?
Carefully calculate.
Mobile or desktop?
Mobile.
Who inspires you most?
At the moment, someone called Chris Williamson. I've had him on my podcast years ago. I've known him for a long time. When I met him for the first time in person, he wasn't doing that well. But his work ethic is just insane.
Hold that thought. We're going to come back to that. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think spa owner, but spa as in like sauna and ice baths, not like nails and face.
Got it. What is an underappreciated business tool that you couldn't live without?
Underappreciated business tool that I couldn't live without. Bizarrely, I think an ice bath, in that just something to wake you up that isn't coffee.
What's your productivity life hack?
Don't let your email inbox be your to-do list.
And what does success mean to you?
I think success is living a life that makes you content and not having to need to escape on vacations. It's and we're doing that now. Whenever we go away, we're excited to come home. We love our home. It's not the biggest home in the world. It's not full of expensive things, but we love our garden. We love where we live in the world, and there is nothing we're ever trying to run away from.
And that's a beautiful ending. Thank you, Adam, so much for joining me and sharing your story. And I wish you all the best. It sounds to me like you are successful already in the way that you're trying to live your life. It's very inspirational, and thanks for sharing with us.
No problem at all. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you to Adam, and thank you for listening. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.